What's up, everybody? Nomad Foods just reported their earnings, ticker symbol NOMD. I've talked about this company a number of times on the channel. Before these earnings, it was a little more than a 4% holding in my portfolio. To give you the quick thesis for why I bought into Nomad, they are the market leader in European frozen food, a very boring business. They're trading at, roughly 7 times normalized earnings, very strong cash flow, extremely strong shareholder returns, about 6% dividend. Everyone needs to eat. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, people are still going to be eating food, and frozen food has actually been gaining as a category. The category has been fairly strong. This isn't something that AI or some technology is going to come along and disrupt, just a boring business trading for a compelling valuation while returning a lot of that value to shareholders. So we're going to go through this report, see if it changes our opinion on anything. As always, nothing here is advice to buy or sell Nomad Foods. I just give you my opinion and I tell you what I'm doing with my money. And at the end, I will tell you what I'm doing with my position here. So if you get value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to join my Discord or grab my Google Sheets template for analyzing stocks, then consider following me on Patreon. Now, let's get into Nomad. And if we just actually quickly look at their revenue over time here, we see, it's been a slow grower, but actually a lot of this growth has been through acquisitions of them acquiring other frozen food brands. The organic growth has been pretty slow, mostly just from price increases that are basically matching inflation. Margins have been reasonably consistent, about 12% operating margins, but you will note that over the past couple years, the revenue is actually down slightly, and the margins are down as well to, a little under 11% operating margins. So they've had some headwinds here. The question we have to answer is, do we think that this is just a bump in the road, or do we think that they're going to continue to struggle going forward? Now, quickly, Nomad's business model, they're selling to retailers, to grocery stores, to the Aldis of the world. And then those grocery stores, they're selling to us, to the end consumer. So while Nomad's revenue, that's coming from, their deals with their retail partners, a lot of what we're concerned about is actually, what are consumers buying? Are people buying their products more, less? What does that sell out from the retailer to the consumer looking like? Because you can have the case where retailers have really stocked up on inventory and supply, and even if the sell out, the demand from the end consumer is the same, they might just be drawing down on their inventory. And so, the revenue to Nomad, the amount that a retailer purchases from Nomad in a period could be less, could be more. It could make Nomad's revenue look a little lumpy, even if the demand from the end user is still the same. So last quarter, Nomad's revenue was down mid-single digits, but the sell out was consistent. So they were saying the end demand is fine, but we have price negotiations going on with retailers. Now in this quarter, they're mostly through those price negotiations, but they did mention on this call several times that they had a few retail disputes. And that led to lower orders from those retailers in this quarter, and organic revenue is down 3%. Now, they say that these disputes are resolved, they're done with, and frozen food as a category has actually grown year on year. So it doesn't look good that while more people are buying frozen food, Nomad's revenue is down. They say this is going to improve in the second half, and they did have better margins in this period as a result of those price negotiations. So pricing, that went up. So there are positives here, but we're looking at a company where revenue has been declining slightly, low single digits, but still declining over the past year. And management has highlighted one-time reasons why that's the case, but you can't highlight one-time reasons why revenue is down multiple quarters in a row without investors legitimately asking, is this a structural problem? And they were asked by an analyst directly on the call who said, I'm really just trying to get a sense of whether there's something more structural regarding the ability to hold or gain share as you go forward. And the CEO basically said, okay, here's what we're doing. First of all, pricing. We're not increasing our pricing as aggressively because we want to be competitive. Earlier, they talked about how inflation is really high, like high end of single digits in this category, and that's really been weighing on the margins. And they're not trying to increase their prices all the way to fully capture that inflation because they want to be competitive on price. Now, I think here's the dynamic that's going on behind the scenes that they're not really directly talking about, but they're kind of alluding to, and that's they're losing market share to private labels. So when you go to the grocery store, when you go to, Carrefour or Aldi in Europe or, in America, even though Nomad isn't operating in America, but, just imagine you go to Albertsons or Kroger, and there are some brands on the shelf that are third-party brands where that retailer, they have a relationship with some supplier like Nomad, and they're bringing in other people's products. But there's also private label brands. So in the US, for example, Kroger, they own Simple Truth and also just the Kroger brand itself. So when you see, a Kroger brand item on the shelf, that's a private label brand. Because Kroger owns the supply chain here, they're likely priced very aggressively. And what sounds like might be happening here is Nomad, even though they're the market leader in European frozen food, they're competing with these private labels and they're losing market share. Even though frozen food as a category is growing well, the market share that Nomad is getting is slipping, and they are losing out primarily to private labels, brands that are owned by the retailer themselves. That's been the real headwind over the past couple years on the top and bottom line. And when the CEO was asked, okay, so what sort of elasticity are you seeing thus far on your more recent pricing actions? How do those compare? What he's asking here is basically, okay, so you haven't been pricing as aggressively. Your prices are maybe a little lower than the inflation trend. Are you seeing any demand pickup from that? And the answer was basically, well, it's a little too early to know how demand is responding to price here. But importantly, he says that only recently have private labels increased prices. We're just starting to see meaningful price increases come through. For example, in the UK, a certain retailer is increasing their prices by 20 to 30% in mid-July. Carrefour increased prices on certain products in France by 32%. In Germany, 3 retailers all raising prices about 20% on most of their fish categories. Fish, by the way, really big category here for Nomad Foods. They sell all sorts of things: fish, chicken, vegetables, frozen peas, ice cream, stuff like that. But fish is a pretty big part. In any case, what it sounds like has been going on here is that retailers, they've been setting their prices on the private label products pretty aggressively over the past couple years. And that's really been what's weighing on Nomad. Now, as Nomad responds and as a lot of these retailers start increasing the prices on their products, we'll see how that shifts the market share here. I think if Nomad doesn't gain back market share in the third and fourth quarter, it would be pretty disappointing. And furthermore, because they're not being as aggressive on price, it means that for their margins, in the beginning of the year, they were saying, we have all these productivity programs and that's going to lead to cost savings and that's going to improve our margins. And they're still saying that the productivity programs are on track. Productivity is up. That's improving costs. But a lot of that benefit from the productivity, it's being offset by the fact that they aren't pricing as aggressively. So any benefit that we thought we were going to get from increased productivity, you're probably not going to see this year. So overall, I would say definitely some challenges here. They still do generate a decent amount of cash. They pay out a decent dividend, but they're no longer buying back stock. And the reason is that they want to improve and strengthen their balance sheet. This company does have a decent amount of debt, about 2.3 billion euros, but pretty importantly, they did just roll over a good amount of their debt. They have no significant maturities that are due until 2032. So while the debt is high, it's very manageable. The interest expense increased slightly with the debt they're rolling over. So because of that, they did lower their adjusted earnings per share down for the year to reflect that change in interest expense. So now their guidance implies, about $1.60 to $1.75 in earnings per share. They're trading for roughly 7 times that right now. So it's still a pretty compelling valuation. But as far as an investment, 7 times earnings for a company that is boring and just, growing their revenue maybe 3% a year with price increases with very stable margins, that's a different story than a company trading for 7 times earnings that is losing revenue every year by low single digits and their margins are coming under more pressure. When we bought in, I felt fairly confident that Nomad was in the first camp, and now I'm less sure. It's hard to know. I want to see what happens in the third and fourth quarters when, Carrefour and Aldi, a lot of these companies, they have increased the prices on their private labels. How's that going to affect market share? With retailers having more normalized margins, are we going to see that, Nomad recovers their margins and their market share to essentially what they were before? Because if that's the case, then I think Nomad is still quite cheap today. But frankly, the company has underperformed my expectations when I bought into the stock. And in case you haven't followed the channel very long or you just want a refresher, I first bought into Nomad Foods at a little over $13 a share. This was almost a year ago. When I enter, I typically buy a small position, and as the price drops, if my conviction hasn't changed, then often I'll increase my stake, and that's what I did with Nomad. I wrote on Discord on March 12th, on March 25th, and on May 5th that I was buying Nomad stock, and that corresponds to, about $9.50 a share here, $9.60 a share, and then, $9.29, I guess, a share. So I was buying in the nines. My average price on this holding is a little over 11. You throw in some dividends that I've been paid along the way, and we've made about a 10% return on Nomad Foods, so certainly nothing that I'm upset about. We are up money, but this holding has underperformed my portfolio, and just fundamentally about the business has underperformed my expectations. Now, going to our sheet, looking at our assumptions for the future and seeing what we could expect for a return on our investment in Nomad. First of all, the numbers in here, they are in euros. The stock price, that's obviously in dollars. Nomad is traded on a US exchange, but I'm keeping the numbers for the fundamentals in euros because the euro has actually appreciated quite a bit against the dollar. So if we looked at things in dollar terms, you'd see, for example, a pretty big jump over the past year in their dollar revenues and dollar earnings. But a lot of that has just been the exchange rate between the euro and the dollar. I don't want us to be fooled by that when organic revenue has actually come down. Now, the assumptions I had in here for my base case were 0% revenue growth for 5 years. Operating margins stay at 11%, which is depressed from where they have been, but it's pretty close to where they're at now. Free cash flow margin of 8%. That's representing the money that's coming back not only to us shareholders in the form of dividends and buybacks, but also to debt holders. If money is going to pay down debt, basically any cash that is coming into the enterprise, the model is actually agnostic towards. And I was giving this company a 9x multiple, which is a multiple of enterprise value, which takes into account all the debt that the company has to operating income. Now, looking at these assumptions, I thought that I was being very conservative, but seeing the recent performance of Nomad, I'm actually not certain if this is extremely conservative. I mean, I think this is reasonable for a base case, but I don't know if these are extremely conservative assumptions. And in this scenario, I'm looking at a 12% annualized return on Nomad stock. As far as my bear case, that's assuming free cash flow comes down a bit, revenue is declining 2% every year for 5 years. I brought down their multiple, and now you're flat to down a little bit on your money over 5 years. And my bull case was basically Nomad is going to recover essentially to, revenue just growing 2%. This is basically, they grow with price increases. They don't increase volume. The margins, they recover a little to 12%, but, that's basically in line or even a little below where they have been in the past. And the company trades for a 12 times multiple, perhaps a little generous, but nothing crazy, certainly below where they've often traded for in the past. And if this comes true, then you're looking at a 30% annualized return on this stock. That is roughly a quadruple on your money over 5 years. So overall, my opinion, risk reward on Nomad, I think it's decent. It's not excellent. And in fact, my opinion on the risk reward of Nomad has somewhat changed over the past couple quarters as they've underperformed. Now, the market reaction to this report was actually, I would say, somewhat positive. The stock's flat to even up slightly from before this report came out. And I always tell you what I'm doing with my holding. And for me, I actually did make a change. I trimmed some of my Nomad position. I sold the shares that I had bought over $12. That was about 1% of my portfolio. So, now instead of Nomad being 4 to 5% position, it's about 3 to 4% position. I want to see how Nomad performs in the third and fourth quarter. Again, now that a lot of these retailers have increased prices, I just want to see what is Nomad's market share going to be. If Nomad stabilizes here, a lot of their cash flow now is going to go to debt and strengthening the balance sheet. Nomad could still offer good returns from here. Again, it's still trading for, roughly 7 times normalized earnings. With that said, if Nomad continues to operationally underperform, I may decide to sell out of this stock later in the year. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. And if you're interested in what I bought with the money that I sold here, I did actually buy into a new company that I haven't talked about directly on the channel before. I've mentioned it in other videos as they are a competitor to a significant holding of mine, but it's a solid business, a critical business, a slow grower, and also, as it so happens, trading for about 7 times normalized earnings, a very compelling valuation. So we'll talk about them soon. If you follow me on Discord, you already know what the company is. And with that, I think we'll end the video here. If you want to grab my Google Sheets template for analyzing stocks, consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. And if you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, leave that down below as well. If you own Nomad, let me know what you're doing with your shares. And I hope to see you all in another video.